Hey folks, it's Finn. Hope you've all had a good week so far. Happy Thursday. So in this week's vlog, I want to talk a bit about identity, particularly kind of grieving an old identity and rebuilding a new one, which is a very big part of transition, or at least that's been my experience. And the reason I want to talk about this is because just lately, since finding myself single and moving to a new place, as I've shared here, I found myself thinking about all sorts of things, kind of looking again at my social anxiety and addressing that, and meeting new people, and also trying to work out who I am now as a single man, and trying to work out who I'm attracted to, where my sexuality lies. And I'm realising that actually all of these things that I'm looking at the moment are less to do with maybe my sexuality or my mental health or anything like that. I think they're more to do with my still evolving identity. In my earlier vlogs, I was talking very much about grieving for my past self, because I very much felt in early days like my identity was completely wiped out. I knew I wasn't female, and when I came out, I knew I was male. It made absolute sense. It all felt right. But at the same time, I entered this kind of no man's land where I was no longer living and presenting as female, but at the same time wasn't male looking enough, or at all really looking back, to be perceived as male. And so even though I was trying to develop this new identity of myself as a man, as Finn, because people weren't relating to me as that man, I couldn't form this identity outside of myself, because every time I spoke to someone and they called me she, it would be kind of like knocked out of me. And I'm pleased to report that that obviously has stopped. Now that people see the me that I perceive myself to be, the inner man now shows on the outside, in terms of that, my identity is solid as a man. And in terms of grieving for my past self, I find that comes up at different times in transition, but it's nowhere near as intense as it once was. I think the reason why it was so intense was because I didn't have any identity, because I couldn't build this new male identity because of being in this limbo land waiting to transition and change enough to be perceived as male. And so my reactions, my interactions with people were just off, and so it was bringing up a lot of sadness for the ways I used to interact with people, you know, those relationships that were shifting and changing because I was now out as male. And I was just really quite sad about that, and it left me with this really mixed feeling, because I knew that I wanted to transition, but at the same time I had this sadness. And I realised that actually that's okay. This is a normal part of transition from what I hear. I've talked about this with a lot of people, and I think it brings up a lot of fear as to, was transition right for me? And I think most of the time it is just this case where you need time to adjust to your new identity. People need time to adjust to your new identity. You need new ways of interacting with people, which takes time. On occasion, it may well mean that transition isn't right for you, but that's rare that that happens. It's very, very rare that you get very far into transition and then realise it does happen, but as I say, it's quite rare. I think for the majority of us, when we have this feeling of just grieving for the way we used to be with people, the way certain relationships used to be, is because we've let go of that bit, but the new bit hasn't arrived yet, and that bit takes time. You know, we're still the same people, but of course the interaction is different. You can't help but be, because you do change personality on testosterone, whether that is by testosterone itself or just the process of being more comfortable in your body. That change, any change in you, affects the way you interact with others, and a massive change like this of course changes it. So where I am is much more comfortable in my own identity as a man, because it's being affirmed from the outside. And in my relationships with people, I've moved on from a lot of my old friends anyway, but that was more to do with the fact that I'm now sober, and I was a very different person drinking. In fact, I think getting sober has probably changed me more than transition. So my relationships with people have continued to evolve, and I don't miss now too many aspects of things. Occasionally something will come up, like I suppose the biggest one is interaction with my brother, because we were very, very close and we've gone through a lot of changes. And I think sometimes I kind of look back on certain things that happened and miss that. Think, oh, you know, that's a shame. But actually that's life as well, isn't it? That's a process of life where you get nostalgic and you look back and things won't be the same because things change. So I don't think it's so much to do with my changing identity, like my transitioning, it's just my overall changing identity. Does that make sense? Anyway, I've got about thinking this now because of my current situation with being a single man. And I tell you what, as much as it's all been really, really painful, this is actually one of the most powerful and positive things to have gone through, because I now can really work on my identity, just me. When you're in a relationship, you do end up having like a dual identity. Of course, you're separate individual people. That's how a healthy relationship should be. Two individuals coming together, sharing their lives. But you do still have like a couple to consider. And so as a single person, I don't have to do any of that. Now I get to explore just what I'm about, what I'm really interested in, my likes, my dislikes. And so I think I'm on a kind of new layer of the onion of identity. You know, I've got to a place where I'm comfortable in the man I am. I'm starting to have more trust now in that people see me as the man I am. Recently, coming out in AA here and having people say to me, I can't see you as anything other than a man, really means the world to me. To know that has helped so much. It's made so much of a difference that not only am I strong in my own male identity, I feel strong in it with others. There's still some issues there in terms of when I'm with groups of men, I can feel quite anxious and a bit less than and a bit paranoid, and I find it hard to relax. It's that thinking that, am I being a man? Which is ridiculous, I'm being me. And again, I think this is just more to do with developing my own identity. And I think the more I do that, not necessarily about my gender, but just general identity as the man I am, that'll improve. And I think it's the same with my sexuality. I'm going to do a follow-up vlog on the vlog I did about sexuality, because I've had loads more thoughts on that I want to share. So I'm not going to go into that too much right now. But just to say, I think that's it as well. It's about starting to really know who I am now, because I've been in a relationship for 6 years. When I met my partner, I was still drinking. I got sober 4 months into the relationship, and then 6-8 months after that I began transition. And so I'm such a different person than I was when I was single. So now, you know, I get to develop all these new hobbies that I'm really enjoying. You know, this geocaching. Yes, I will do a vlog about geocaching at some point. I've got myself a new camera, so I'm taking up photography, and I'm going to join a photography group. And it's wonderful to be able to feel comfortable in myself enough now to go and explore these things. I feel like, at last, I'm in a place where I feel I have a stable base to my identity, so that I'm comfortable enough to now start exploring it more as well as a single man. I guess what I'm trying to share with you is that I think that this is my next layer of recovery, of self-evolvement, is in my further work on my identity. That the anxiety that remains and the sexuality questioning that is there is to do with the next phase of my identity formation and reflection and all of that. That is just generally part of transition. I think this is an aspect a lot of people don't really talk about, and it's such a fundamental and exciting and interesting and scary part. This identity kind of crash and then rebuild as it is, because that's exactly how I've experienced it. It was the, oh my god, I'm not a woman, I'm actually a man. Oh my god, that's amazing, but oh my god, who am I? And then you kind of move into this, I don't want to be a man, I actually am a man, and you start to feel more secure. But then you're like, I don't know how to be with people anymore, and people don't know how to be with me, and the way I'm having relationships with people has changed, and that's really sad. Does that mean that transitioning was right for me? Should I go back? Oh my god. And it's all of this churning up of the inside you that it's terrifyingly exciting. But what I'm saying is that's settled. At least it has for me. You know, I'm 3.5 years on T. 3.5 years on T, and it's settled. I know who I am. I know this is right, but I know that I've still got a lot of work to do because I'm only a little boy. I've only been transitioning for a few years, and so I'm still getting to know myself. Most people in puberty get to know themselves among other people that are also experimenting, but we are older and just thrown in there, and we have to kind of swim. If you relate to this, please do drop me a message in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on whether this has been your experience and how you've dealt with it and where you are now. Yeah, because it's nice to hear that my waffles are on point, I think. Have a lovely weekend, everybody. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and do send me a message on any of the social media links and check out my blogs. Love to you all. See you next Thursday. Bye-bye.